Hey everybody, how are you doing? So you've probably been on the road, but have you ever seen the creek? So a big road here, a big thoroughfare in Eau Claire is Lowe's Creek Road. And this is Lowe's Creek. So I've been on Lowe's Creek Road a lot more often than I've stopped to look at Lowe's Creek. And I'm in Lowe's Creek Park today. So I was gonna start by singing, all the leaves are brown and the sky is gray. I went for a walk on a late autumn day. California dreaming, right? But it's okay. It's late October. It can be kind of cold and gray. Getting close to November. I voted today, so I got my vote, because that's why I'm doing the chat early too. I'm having a foot surgery tomorrow, so I'll be a little out of commission, and I'm trying to do everything I can do before that involves walking or getting around. So I thought I should vote today. First day of early voting was today at City Hall. Great group of volunteers. Deacon Bob Chittenden was there. He helped me vote today. That was kind of neat. Served. He's kind of retired now, but served. I'm sure continues to serve at St. Olaf's in different ways. But it was nice to see him. Anyway, so got some parish news, a few of this and that, other things. So part of our shipment from Bethlehem arrived today, or Monday actually, yesterday, from Bethlehem. So the ceramics. So we'll be selling some of that to support some business in Bethlehem, where things are a little bit rough still. They're coming out of it with the pandemic, but we seem like to have we had good sales with that in the past couple of years, and we'll be getting our woolen goods from the L'Arche community hopefully pretty soon. Ordered those. There's still some. We still have olive oil if you want some of that from a month ago, so that'll be good from that L'Arche community. People with intellectual disabilities who live and work with those without those disabilities and form community, and they sustain themselves by making those woolen gifts. And the olive oil, they come in those woolen sheaths. So anyway, so that's kind of exciting to me, that's happening. I just because I'm having this. Did I mention I'm a little fuzzy today? I woke up real early. I had to go down to La Crosse for a board meeting for St. Ambrose Financial Services. I'm on that board. So we met, but it meant getting up pretty early because we met at 9 o'clock in La Crosse. So anyway, I'm a little fuzzy, I have to say. So hopefully I won't repeat myself or get too... did I mention I'm having this foot surgery? Yeah, I did. I said I'm doing all this stuff now. So one thing I also did today, hey, it's Sarah and Isaiah. I'm doing my midweek chat, you guys. I'm doing my midweek chat. So that's exciting. Isn't that funny? You could say hello if you want, but it's pointed the wrong way. All right, yeah, see you later. Great, Sarah and Isaiah, take a little walk. Cool. So, I thought I got this hunger to learn Arabic, and I started it on Duolingo, and you can only get so far, I feel, on Duolingo, because you have to start typing in Arabic, and you can get a keyboard, but it just got really hard. Anyway, so I subscribed to this Israeli newspaper, and there was a little pop-up ad for learn Hebrew, learn Arabic. And I thought, well, when I'm convalescing from my foot surgery, that'll be a fun thing to do. So I subscribed to those two services. That'd be kind of neat. Marhaba, that's hello in Arabic. Shukran, thank you. Afwan, you're welcome. Sabah al khair, good morning. Sabah al-Nur. Is that how you speak? When someone says good morning to you, it's really kind of beautiful. Sabah al-Khair, good morning. And then your response is, it's either Sabah al-Nur or Akhair al-Nur. And so in English, it's good morning. And then the person returns, says, morning of light. Isn't that great? And what do we got for Arab and Hebrew? What do we got? Boker Tov is good morning. Laila Tov, good night. Toda Arfa, thank you very much. Vakasha means please and you're welcome. So that's a good word to know. Anyway, I'm getting excited for the pilgrimage in February. So I want to be able to, speak a little bit of the language with people when I go over there. Anyway, that's not that interesting. Let's say something more interesting. So we got a little bit. So today's the 25th. 25th. The 26th is tomorrow. All Souls Day is November 2nd. So the first weekend after All Souls Day, we'll be commemorating those in our parish who have died since previous year's All Souls Day, with votive lights being lit at each of the masses in memory of these people. We'll read the names of everybody whose funeral we had at St. James in the last year. And then after we do that, people are welcome to come up and tell me the name of the person in their life who died in the last year. And you could light a candle as well, and I'll repeat that name for everybody over the microphone. Nice tradition that's been going on at St. James for quite a while, longer than we did it at St. Joe's in Menominee when I was there too. It's a great way to commemorate important life and death in our community. So All Saints Day, I think it's partly because I know I'm having that surgery before, but we're just going to have one Mass on All Saints Day. It's a Tuesday. We're going to have the 9 o'clock Mass with the school community. That's what we got scheduled. So I know that's not going to work for everybody, but I hope you understand. Let's see. We got those two. Well, I just wanted to mention, I don't know if you know, I always mention it at funerals, but if you haven't been to a funeral, you may not know. So next to the tabernacle, right in front of the tabernacle, by those kneelers that Mike Kolstad so lovely put together with some leftovers from the communion rail when that came out. Anyway, there's those kneelers there, and on top of the kneelers, there's a book stand, and on that book stand is a binder that we call it the Book of Life, and it has a page for every date in the year. So January 1st, January 2nd, December 28th, December 366 pages. And I think there's one for Leap Day. I'm not sure. And so during a funeral, we bring it out, and the person's name is in that book. We've been doing it in advance. It might be nice it just seems to work better if we do it in advance. Another way you could do it is to write it, but it's in a nice font script, and then Bonnie comes a few times a year and then takes what is printed out on a computer and actually uses her calligraphy skills on a parchment paper and puts it on better paper. So thanks for doing that, Bonnie. And and it's not like, so that's what it's for. It's for people from St. James whose funeral we had. Sometimes it comes up like people, like I might want to write my father's name in it. Well, I wouldn't, because he was buried out of St. Anne's in Wausau, and there's a Book of Life there, and his name's in that Book of Life. So that's I just thought I'd explain that. That's what that's for. But it's interesting to page by. It's pretty well up to date. And if you're ever wondering, well, why isn't so and so's name in there? Could be a mistake, so it's worth bringing our tradition to our attention. Or it could be like, well, they weren't buried through St. James, or they didn't have that connection to the parish. So, okay. After the All Saints Day Mass on November 1st, is that a week from today? I guess it is. If you have time, step in the gathering space, and I believe all the fourth graders from St. James School will be there. They've all picked a saint that they've researched, and they'll have, if it's like last year, I'm just assuming it is, they'll be dressed like one of the saints, like St. Francis, the rope around his waist, or St. Lucy without any eyes. I think Emily did that a few years ago. I think she maybe had eyes, but she was holding an eyeball in a plate too. But anyway, her story was that she wanted to devote her life to God, but she was very beautiful, and people were trying to force her to marry, and she didn't. So she disfigured herself. She took her eye out, so no one would want to marry her, which I wouldn't encourage. But again, different time, different age. There's something inspiring about that, perhaps. And she's the patron saint of light, and her feast day is near the winter solstice, when things are dark and we need a lot of light. I think it's December 13th. Okay. We got the Italian meal coming up. I got to get my $30 in there to get that meal place reserved. Let's see. Scam. So I mean to write about this and talk about it more, and I never do. So people in churches get scammed a lot. And especially if you're on staff or if you're in any groups, anyone that I would email, because you're on a finance council or parish council or one of our volunteers, something like that, often you'll get an email from, because not really from me. It'll say Father Tom at St. James or Father Tom at Google, and it's not my real. I've never known one that goes out with my real email address. And let me just say this: I'll never ask you for money with an email. That's not. I would not do that. That's not how we do it. So I might ask you for money, but not with just an email that drops in your inbox. But that happens. And what happened today to Patrice, our new pastoral minister, Patrice Taft, her husband Al got an email asking for, he said, there's just 2 spots left on our parish webpage. So, click here and buy a spot, support your parish. It sounds like, I'm going to support my parish. So it's insidious because it preys on good people who do good things, who want to do good things for their church. And, a real common was buy these Apple, what do you call it? The music service Apple does. What's it called? iTunes. Give iTunes cards, buy 4 for a homeless. Can you buy 4 for a homeless person or something like that? It would often be in my name. So anyway, I wouldn't do that. So if you got this thing about buy an ad on the webpage, then don't do that either. Because we don't sell ad space on our webpage. There is someone that will call once in a while for our bulletin ads. He comes during the week, once a year for a week, and makes calls. So we get our bulletins for free because we have people that sponsor that. Thank you for those who do. But anyway, it's darn scams. And this one was interesting. It was a pretty cleverly done. So if there was a typo, not only was it not really from me, there was a typo on the bottom, but it was kind of a clever little phrase. If there weren't that typo, it said something like the devil. Maybe you've heard it. I've never heard it before. It says the devil knows your name and calls you by your struggle. The Lord knows your struggle and calls you by name. So even though it was a scam, I kind of liked what it said at the bottom. But except it said it didn't have your, it had you in the first line. So it said the devil knows your name. The devil knows your name and calls you by you struggle, it said. So it's a typo. Usually genuine ones don't have typos. Best choice I made this week? I went golfing on Sunday instead of, so that was a good choice. We had, Father Hazer sends these funny things, like did you know kind of stuff. I think they're pretty much true. He said the country of Scotland spent like $182,000 6 years ago and had a committee of 10 people to meet and discern with marketers how to best promote their tourism industry, to come up with a slogan. It said, and after all that money was spent and people were, it goes a whole bunch of bikers, a lot of mountain bikers at Lowe's Creek. After all the money was spent and they spent a month deliberating, they decided that the motto would be, welcome to Scotland, when people get off the airplane. Anyway, I thought it was pretty funny. So we had Father Tom Sweetser with us last week. So if you came to Mass or you saw the Mass on YouTube, I presided at the Saturday Mass on YouTube, but I didn't preach, right? And then he presided and preached at both the Sunday Mass. And people just were saying very great things about him who came to Mass that weekend. So his presentation being very genuine, all that kind of stuff, and good content. So he spent Thursday with me. They went out to eat. Then Friday with the staff, and then Saturday with council members and a few other folks from the parish. I had mentioned on the chats, anybody's welcome. I mentioned it at Mass once, and probably should have made a more concerted effort. But even among those that on the short list that I asked, just about 1 out of 6 was able to come, you know. So I don't know if a lot more people would have come or not, because there's 6 hours on a Saturday, and I get it. So, but I asked like Jackie and Patrice. I said, "What do you think? What did you guys get out of it?" And they said, "Well, he really engaged our parish, and he stressed the importance of a prayer life. And without prayer, without a good prayer life, your vision just won't work. Without a good prayer life, your vision just won't work." And I would say that was my time with him on that Thursday. That was pretty much what we talked about, prayer life. And I have a prayer life. It's not quite up to his standards, I don't think, though. Wow, he prays, not just saying your prayers or meditating, but for an hour. He sets his timer for an hour and just spends it with the Lord, kind of sharing his day. Kind of like, I think I mentioned last week, one of our students, Ian, said that knowing Jesus versus knowing about Jesus is talking to him and then pausing and listening to him and then talking again, and you get to know each other, you know. But these days were structured, and people would go off and 3 times to pray by themselves for 20 minutes each. And probably most people aren't really used to that. Maybe you say a rosary and it takes about 20 minutes, but kind of in a way where you sit there and you're thinking about putting yourself in the presence of Jesus. And anyway, I feel like that was really worth it to me, to kind of give me a little kickstart. Like, yeah, you know, if you're going to be a good shepherd to the people, you got to know the heart of the good shepherd as well as you can. And as I think I mentioned at the end of Saturday, one of those masses, that that's what I do. That's what I want to be. I want to be a good shepherd. And sometimes I'm not, and that pains my heart. And sometimes I am, and it feels really great. So, yeah. So anyway, he was with us, and we the 2 different groups, the Friday group and the Saturday group, were supposed to identify 3 words, maybe 4. He said mission statements in an organization tend to be worked on for a long time and then quickly forgotten. Nobody, even those who worked on it, could never recite it back, you know. And so he took all the action words out of our mission statement, and then he said, what are more action words, like loving, caring, that would typify your parish, or that you hope would? He said that would either describe your parish, or that you would hope would describe your parish, knowing that nobody's perfect, you know. And what the staff came up with was welcoming, engaging, serving, and healing. And the Saturday group, someone told me what they thought it was. I know welcoming was in that too. I don't remember what the other 3. They said they were very similar, but I don't remember. But I thought it'd be good to get the 2 groups together maybe, and talk about those words. So very well could be worth our time. So we'll see. He shared a couple things I wanted to share with you that were great. Well, I talked about prayer. Praying every day. This is what he said. His tips for praying every day. Maybe I'll print these in the bulletin tonight. I have to write that column yet. It's like 8 steps. Find a comfortable, sacred place to go to, your holy ground. Kind of make that a consistent place for you to go. So far as you are able, pick the same time for prayer and decide on the length of your prayer. Use a timer if it works for you. I would recommend that timer a lot. Ask God, Jesus, Spirit, to help you pray. This is all before you're actually praying. Then, speak about what you want from your prayer. Then, add petitions for those needing prayers or help. Then, use a guide or daily scripture booklet or Bible to read something, some word of God or a devotional prayer, a reflection. Then, jot down insights from the prayer at the end, not during the prayer. The prayer is a conversation. The notes are for your journal. Then last, say a little prayer of thanks at the end. So as I said that, if that sounded attractive to you, rewind it, jot it down, and give it a try. There's lots of different ways to pray, but it's good to hear someone's method, he, by the way, he said he works with Sister Diane Brigant, who did our Lenten mission, so brilliant last year, the scripture scholar who came in. He knows her real well, and she goes on retreats that he directs, and that was a nice connection. Then he read this, Falling in Love. It's a famous prayer. It gets attributed to the Jesuit leader Pedro Rupe, but everyone says he didn't actually come up with it. I think he said a Jesuit priest named Joe Wagner. Doesn't sound as exotic as Pedro Rupe. Joe Wagner wrote it, and some years ago. But it's called Falling in Love. Nothing is more practical than finding God, that is, than falling in love in a quite absolute, final way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you do with your evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you read, who you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. So fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. It's good, huh? In my time with him, he said, why don't you focus on the question, what amazes you with joy and gratitude? And then I went off and I prayed for a while, and I came back. And I have to say I'm lucky. I don't mean to be gloating about this at all. I know a lot of people struggle to feel the love of God in their heart. It might just be an idea to you, or maybe you feel God isn't that loving, that God's more of a judge. So much depends on our past. But I prayed, and I'll tell you what, whether I'm having a really good period of my life where I'm praying real regularly, intensely, and with open heart, or if I've been kind of lazy about it, it just seems whenever I really sit down, I like to pray with icons, so I have an image of Christ, the Good Shepherd, is my favorite focus for prayer. And, I say this, maybe God will test me tonight, and I'll try it, and it won't be like I'm saying, but I just really feel known and loved by God, and God's compassion for my failings and patience with my lack of responsiveness some days or weeks. But I just always feel the love of Christ when I gaze at that image and close my eyes. And so that's what amazes me with joy and gratitude. I'm like, wow, I just don't deserve that, I used to think there's that long homily that I gave about when I got dumped by Anne Marie in college, and I thought God would help, but I wasn't praying, I wasn't going to church at the time. I thought, well, I got to get my act together before I turn to God for help, because I'm unworthy. I'm not, I haven't been paying any attention to Him, and suddenly I expect Him to care about me. And again, just amazed with joy and gratitude, but my real clear sense that I felt in my heart from God was, that's what I do. I'm God. I give mercy. I know you. I give compassion. Use me as a crutch. Okay, you can thank me later. Pay me back later. So that's a great grace in my life, and it is with joy and gratitude that I have experienced that so far. Maybe someday I'll be like Mother Teresa. They say this great paragon of virtue and service. That she had that for a long time, and then it was gone, and she just had to go ahead and be faithful and serve, even though she wasn't really feeling the love of Christ. That it was kind of a dark night for her that way. So if that happens, then I'll have to take it as a part of the spiritual journey, call to deeper faith, I guess. I want to say though, I think it was Patrice or Jackie, they said without prayer that you can't keep the vision. And it reminded me, we got 24 minutes, so I'll just tell this and I'll wrap up. But so one of my, I think, most fruitful things that I did in ministry in my life was in campus ministry. I'd lead these service trips to Chicago. And part of it, I don't want to, it's going to end up not being complimentary, so I won't name the place we'd serve, but it was like a school. It was not an insult, though. I mean, it was like a school run by religious people and volunteers. And the first couple years that we did it, we'd tutor, we'd help maintain the buildings. Every time we went, we had a very great experience, and they were gracious to host us. But in the beginning, the folks there they were kind of on fire for what they were doing. They knew the students, they loved the students. You could just tell. And when I had dinner with them, they were talking about, this student or this family and how they got that family involved, how they knocked on their door, and struggles with fundraising. But it was all very, very, very mission focused. And then we went. It was one of the last times I went. We went back, and I don't know, it just felt a little different. I think one of the leaders was gone. And we actually celebrated Mass there, and they were polite, but they didn't seem to, I don't know, care that much. It felt like they had to be at Mass because we were having Mass there or something, with the students and me. And then so the teachers, volunteers showed up, and it was nice. But what was most telling, after that, I was just sitting around with the leaders around the table having a few chips and beer or something, or root beer, or I don't know what it was, but and they just kept talking about their vacations. Like, when are you going? What are you doing? I can't wait. I'm going to go to Utah. I'm going to go skiing in Utah in a couple weeks, or I'm going to go. And I talk about vacations. But it was so different from those first times when we talk about the students, talk about what they're doing, then the other person's vacation, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And it was just kind of like the air went out of the balloon, and they were just kind of maintaining, They just weren't on fire anymore. And, I don't know how that happens in a community. Maybe it was a lack of a real vital prayer life. I don't know. It takes a lot of leadership, and it takes different people to pick up the ball. I could say, as a priest, this is why I'm so appreciative of our staff. I think Anne made the comment at the end of our retreat that she was just grateful. Her reflection was to work alongside of so many people where Christ is the center of their life, because everybody doesn't have that, indeed, right? And so as a priest, it'd be hard for, I think, any individual just for 40 years or whatever to stay on fire for the gospel. You think you'd have a lot of kind of ebbs and flows, but that's the critical nature of a parish. We kind of lift each other up. You're feeling low, maybe I inspire you that day. I'm feeling low, I'm inspired by you that day. We lift each other up. We walk understanding that we're not always all going to be at our best. So to have like mercy on each other if someone's crabby, something like that, and hopefully there's apologies and reconciliation and all that. But we need each other. We need each other a lot. What amazes you? With joy and gratitude. So fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything. Okay, let you take in this scene for a little bit. Hope I don't fall in the creek. Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life. Bless the Lord, my soul, and bless God's holy name. Bless the Lord, my soul, who leads me into life. God bless you.